Welcome to the Fight Week Show. My name is Ola, and we have here Adrian Yanez. I think I pronounced it right. Adrian Yanez, Mr. Knockout himself, is here on the Fight Week Show. How you doing, Adrian, my guy?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Doing good, man. Yeah, you did pronounce it right. A lot of people don't use the enya in the name. So, big props to you, man. I did big props. A lot of people don't usually do that. So, I think the only other person that got it right was Luke Thomas because
Okay.
he's trying to get my first name, but I was like, no, it's the last name. People fuck up. So he was like, oh, got it right. So yeah, pretty dope.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I'm pretty excited to have you on the channel. You've been one of the most entertaining fighters that's come up on the bantamweight scene for the past 18 months, I'd say. I mean, even counting contender series as well. Um, and Very, very excited to have you on here. Crazy,
Let's
crazy,
go.
crazy. Just before we begin, we know how good you are with Dr. Pepper. All
Oh
right,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's your big brother. I mean, we got one right here. I'm going
yeah.
to be sipping through it as we go through the interview. When will they sponsor you, man? Because we keep clamoring for it. I'm sure you see on Twitter.
Yeah, man.
We keep clamoring for this, man. When are they going to sponsor you, man?
Man, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting, man. I'm trying to be the first UFC sponsored by Dr. Pepper. I know Max Holloway and DC are big Dr. Pepper fans, so I'm trying to beat them to a sponsorship. So hopefully something soon, man. Like, I'm one of their biggest advocates right now, other than their NASCAR driver, like the Formula One driver, whichever one that's sponsored, whichever one. But to me, man, I'm like I'm a big advocate than that guy because I'm always tweeting at them. So,
They need to
but
put some money in your pocket.
yeah, no, and y'all help me out so much too. Y'all don't realize how much that train started right after my Gustavo knockout. After that fight,
Yeah.
y'all got that ball rolling, took a picture, and then it was just off to the races. And MMA Twitter did what MMA Twitter did, and it was like, oh yeah, nah, it's like it's a foregone thing. It's like right now they're yeah, nah, y'all got me noticed by them, and they sent me like a couple things. Like they sent me like right before it came out, before they were doing like a pre-release and all that stuff. They sent me a box of Dr. Pepper chocolate, but they had it wrapped up super nicely and all that stuff. That was pretty cool, man.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, when you look, how do what do you love about Dr. Pepper specifically? Like, is it the taste? What is it about the actual product?
Man, man, to me it tastes really really good, man. It tastes really really good, and it's something that it was kind of like, man, I'm like it's easier to say, man. I'm from Texas, and Texas loves Dr. Pepper, man. Like that's the biggest thing is Dr. Pepper, sweet tea, and chips and salsa. Yeah, so like that's it's just a Texas thing. But for me also too, man, it was like something that I just grew up loving. Like I would have one, and I just loved it, and I never like after that I never put it down. I would always drink like a Coke, a Sprite, a Pepsi, but it just never could compare to Dr. Pepper. And yeah, man, like yeah, I got some in the fridge. Uh, I'm trying to wean myself off of it because, dude, like right after the fight, I went all the way to like probably Wednesday or Thursday after the fight, and my kidneys were hurting so much because I did not have an ounce of water. It was all Dr. Pepper. Oh, it was like, man, yeah, no, it was all it was shit.
We're going to talk about your fight down the line, um, but I wanted to ask you: have you given more thoughts to what your nickname ought to be? You know, I'm I think maybe we should let the fans choose your nickname organically.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Doctor KO, like
yeah,
Doctor
man.
Pepper, Doctor KO.
That is a good one. That is a good one, man. I actually might so man, I talked to Jens Pulver and everything, and people were like putting in the chat that I don't have a nickname, and they were like thinking a nickname, and I remember telling them, I was like, bro, like it's weird for me to give myself a nickname. I think that's super weird because I don't want to be like kind of like I'm the technician or
Mm.
I'm Hands of Stone, and I thought that was super fucking weird. So I was like, nah. I was talking to Jens, uh, and he was like, he pretty much was like, I was supposed to give Little Evil to. There's only been one Little Evil, and he was supposed to give it to Max Holloway. And he's like, Max Holloway ended up going. He started calling himself blessed, and pretty much like he's like, it was just kind of just going on and on and on about it, and like we started talking a little bit more, and he's like, man, if anybody deserves it, it's Adrian Yanez. He's like, and I was like, oh man, I can't take that from, I can't take that from the one and only Jens Pulver. I can't. I was like, and then also too, I don't want people to think I'm like ripping you off. He's like, bro, he's like, son, he's like, you, you got to know, I'm giving you the nickname. He's like, I'm here on stream. It's recorded. It's live. People will know that you are the one that's going to be handed down the nickname. And I'm like, oh shit. So man, it might be a little evil. Just like also too, man, I got so much love and respect for Jens Pulver. He's kind of being a mentor for me in this streaming space, and also trying to put me in front of in front of different people right now. So it's like, it's so cool, man. I got a mentor who's there, so I think that's so fucking badass. And uh so man, I might just go with Little Evil, man. Even Max Holloway even asked like, because I saw him on Fight Week, because I was at International Fight Week. Max Holloway went up to Jens Pulver off to the side, because I shook Max Holloway's hand. He was like, "Man, it's great to finally meet you." I was like, "Bro, don't like I'm still a fan right now." But he goes up to Jens, and he's like, "Hey, so did Giannis take it? Giannis take a Little Evil?" And he was like, and that was what Jens was telling me. So yeah, it was meant for Max Holloway, but now I think it's passed on to me. So yeah, and Jen still doesn't know that I'm gonna fully take it, and until
We're,
whenever I fight, that's when.
we're gonna get right behind that and
Yeah.
push the fuck out of that, man. Don't worry, man. I want to remind the watching audience about the little rivalry going into your Randy Costa fight with the Reese peanut butter cups and the Dr Pepper. And MMA Twitter was right behind it. I mean, behind every stride of that. They saw, obviously, you and Randy Costa helped promote that stuff before the fight. Is this a strategy that you're gonna look to employ moving forward, or will it be someone with somebody that that you're facing in the future as well?
Man, I don't know, man. I think with me and Randy, that just happened so organically. Like, it wasn't forced. It wasn't really like, kind of like, we didn't really talk before. We didn't do any of that stuff, and like pretty much like it just happened organically. Like, it wasn't like we didn't like talk to each other outside or anything like that. So and it like, if me doing that with anybody else would probably be like disingenuous, and I want to be a genuine person the whole entire time. Uh so yeah, I don't know. It just depends. Like, let's just say like this, like with Davy Grant. Like with Davy Grant, we didn't do any of that stuff before, but we gave each other compliments before the fight. Same here. I gave him compliments before the fight. He gave me compliments before the fight. And during the fight, we went to war. Then even after the fight, man, we went to go out to eat, have some dinner. He's a great guy and all that stuff. Um, and that was pretty cool. And even just like this with this last fight with Tony Kelly, that had a little bit of animosity, because he was talking shit before the fight, and I keep that, like, I'm very genuine when it comes to what I do and how I'm doing things. And um, whenever he whenever he started talking shit, like, I felt like I was like being very like I felt like I was like trying to skate around the questions, because media was always asking me questions about the situation, and I would be like, I can understand. I gave him like fucking I gave him pretty much was like, I gave tried to like get people to see like, hey, look, he was not in the right state of mind. It is what it is. Do I think that was kind of dumb, and I'm looking at it sideways? That, to me, like, I am looking at the guy sideways. That was the first thing he went to, but I was still trying to be like, look, you gotta give him a little bit of like, he's watching his girlfriend get punched in the face and all that shit. Like, so, I was trying to give him some leeway, but he takes it as me just keep talking shit and all that stuff. So, like, going back to the Randy fight, like, man, me and Randy just like immediately, he was like, I want that guy with the Dr. Pepper, and I was like, well, what's your favorite thing? I was like, oh fuck, it's like, it's the it's Reese's. It's like, well, fuck Reese's. So it ended up being super genuine, like between me and Randy. So like it helped out. And then like since we both like kind of really interact with the fans, and we don't like we're not we're not like these fighters that are above fans, because fans actually make this sport, and they make the sport like bigger and bigger. You know, the more people, the more eyes we pull in, the bigger the sport ends up being. Because I don't know if y'all remember, but that fight was supposed to be like the second fight of the night, like second fight on just on the prelims, you know.
Yeah.
So like, and that got moved. Like legitimately, Sean Shelby told me, I believe it was like right after it was like a couple weeks after we were at, it was UFC Houston, and I saw him at a party. Next thing you know, he tells me, he's like, nah, man, like y'all pushed it, like y'all got it there. Like legitimately the week of, he was like, no, like y'all got the fans behind y'all, and like they pushed it to the main card. Like there was so much noise for me and Randy to be put on the main card that they were just like, kind of got to put you on the main card now. You know, it was like it happened to be great, you know, because like yourself, you know, Front Kick Candy, all those guys, like man, the 7 days Yanez stuff was like 100% like the biggest contributing factor, and especially the people that were siding with Reese's, the people that were siding with Dr. Pepper and all that stuff, you know, kind of made it a lot bigger, and even got mentioned on the broadcast before we fought, you know, so that was pretty cool, you know. So we made so much noise, like as a community, to get us on the main card. Brought so much, you know. So like I said, man, it has to be genuine on my end for me to push that type of thing out. Like I'm not gonna search for it, I'm not gonna look for it, you know, just like in the Randy, like the example on Randy, the example on Davey, and the example on Tony, you know.
So, bro, all we want to do is support you guys, and that's what being a fan, being an MMA fan, that's what it's all about. And the whole 7 day, we're starting a new one very very soon. Yeah, I mean we've started it already with the give Yanez some sugar, but we're gonna pump that shit. We're gonna pump it till we get to the top of the mountain, man. Don't worry. Um, so just talking about Tony Kelly and Randy Costa there. I mean, as a fighter yourself, I'm getting in there with both of them, with somebody that you fuck with, like Randy Costa, and someone like Tony Kelly that even after the fight you still ain't feeling him. How do
Yeah,
you get yourself in a mindset to compete with those two different kind of personalities and still get the same sort of results like you got from both of them?
man, honestly, it's just me and my competitive spirit, man. Like I don't like I know if I'm out of my proper mental state, like I'm fucked. You know, like I can't put myself, I had to stay cool, calm, and collected the whole entire time, especially in the fight, man, because the fight, there's a lot of bad things that can happen. So if you act out of anger, a lot of times, you know, you get knocked out. You act out of fear, you know, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna get stopped, you know. So it just depends. Like for me, like I I act the most, like I make the best decisions when I'm calm. Like it doesn't matter what the other person's doing, it doesn't matter. Like if I'm calm, I make my best decisions, like nothing else. That's why, like, if I like in like I practice bad positions all the time. I put myself in the worst positions all the time in training. So whenever it comes to the fight, I've been there before. I know it's like I know I can stay calm, just stay relaxed, you know, just in a matter of time, whatever bad position I'm in, I'm gonna get out. So same thing here, like with Randy, you know, whether we liked each other or not, like I had to go in there and stay focused, you know, go in there and stay focused, because man, I know that guy's gonna come in and try to take my head off. And you know, for the first round, he was going out there and trying to fucking uh he's trying to go out there and trying to knock my head off. And the next thing you know, same person, like in another, like a completely different personality, I had Tony Kelly, someone who was talking shit, very like out there just trying to fucking just beat the drum and trying to talk so much shit even during the fight. So I had to stay calm even during the fight when guys all talking shit to me. So but yeah, no, it has to be like genuine for me to like love or hate somebody. And got genuine love for Randy, and I don't say hate. I'm not gonna say hate, but I genuinely dislike Tony Kelly a lot.
That's crazy, man. Um, we could call you Doctor Knockout. We could also call you Doctor Bonuses. But that's a bonus. I mean, the amount of bonuses that you've been racking up since you got on the scene, really, it's crazy. How does the first bonus you got feel to the last one? Because obviously you get different energies from, I mean, from getting these bonuses. Does it still feel the same racking up these bonuses from like the first time you got it to the most recent one?
Oh, 100%, man. Cause it like that extra 50K does a lot for me, man. And especially it comes, so the little thing that a lot of y'all don't know is that the fight money comes immediately. Like the fight money comes immediately. So whatever your purse is, winner, the show and win, you get it that Monday. And then next thing you know, right after that, like a month later, you get that 50K. So like you're just looking at your you're just looking at your bank account, you know, you get your fight money and all that stuff, and then 50, then like about a month later you get that 50K drop immediately. And I'm like every single time you got to get there and get that big ass smile. But my first one, whenever I got my first one, that legitimately changed my life. And even on this last one that I got, I didn't expect to get it. So the fact that I got it was one of those I was like, fuck yeah. Like it still has that same feeling where I'm like, yeah, like it's cool, man. Like, you know, because fuck, like I'm getting noticed for my performance, and that shit was so fucking cool. Uh, but yeah, no, you know, it's still badass to me. It still feels the same as the first time because uh, you know, I'm just one away from catching that record right now. So I'm really hoping to get it. You know.
That's incredible. Yeah, man. 'Cause I heard you're trying to get it and rack it up all the way till you get to a milli. So
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
hopefully you get there very very soon, man. I mean, at the rate that you're going, at some point you're gonna keep racking up the bonuses till you get to a milli, man. Um, just want to shift gears a little bit onto this next question. It might surprise a lot of people to know that not too long ago you had a gun pull on you in a situation. Can you tell us more about that, and what would you have done differently in a situation like that?
Yeah, man. That was actually whenever I was like around 21, 22 years old. That was I was in downtown Houston, and pretty much like we were all drinking and all that stuff. That situation happened to be man, I was driving back home. Like I was getting in the car, driving back home. You know, there's a lot of people coming out. A lot of people were just like kind of, you know, it just that night was not. It was a fun night, but it wasn't the greatest night. Uh, Pretty much like a couple fights that broke out, and we're just like, let's get the fuck out of here. And so, like, even though that night was like super fucking fun, the end of the night started kind of. It took a kind of a harsh turn. So um, when we're leaving, you know, I'm trying to get out of there, get in my car. I just bought the car too, and I was like kind of young, dumb too. You know, I was like didn't know how to fucking go about certain things. So we're leaving. Somebody in the back is hanging out the back. They're smoking a cigarette because I told the person, I was like, no, you can't smoke in my car. I just fucking got this car. You can't smoke in here. So they're hanging out the window, and I don't know, somebody just randomly is starting to kind of walk up to the car and trying to get a cigarette from him. I'm like, bro, dude, stop hanging out from the car. I'm trying to get out of here, and I'm still driving. And then next, you know, the guy throws something at my car, and I was like, I immediately put that bitch in brake. Like, I immediately put that bitch in brake because I was like I just fucking bought it. I just fucking bought this car, and you're gonna sit there and you like. So I got out the car and started walking towards this guy. I'm like, dude, what the fucking? Like I started like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with you? The guy immediately runs away, but then comes right back from around the car, and he has a gun pulled on us. And I'm just like, I'm still walking towards the guy because I'm just like, fuck you, dude. Like, bro, like I want to fucking talk to you, like. But the motherfucker just like had the gun pulled on me and everything. And luckily, like while everybody was leaving, you know, I'll be completely honest. Like these Asians came up to me. Like I say Asians because I don't know what like I don't know if they're Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, or whatever. Like I just remember vividly just seeing that guy,
Yeah.
and they just go and grab me, and they're just like, hey, like it's what's it called? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Like just start backing yourself away. And they started pushing me away, and they're like, "It's not worth it right now. Let's just get out of here." It's like, go home, like, and I was like, "All right." And to me, like, I wanted to go after the guy because I'm just like, fuck you. But it was a smart decision. It was a smart decision to listen to people. They had, they were there just like, yeah, no, let's get out of here. I was like, all right, got out of here. It went. But that's pretty much the basis of the whole story. It wasn't the best situation, but it was kind of stupid on my end. Pretty stupid.
I was just gonna say, what would you do different now, like in that sort of situation, like because obviously at that time, like you said, you was young, dumb.
Uh,
I mean, just being a young guy, but now there's a lot on the line. I'm being a father.
Yeah, no, honestly, as of right now, man, like I don't even think I would have been out if I'm being honest with you. I don't think I wouldn't have been out, just because just not it's not what I do, I'm like I'm not the 21-year-old anymore. I'm the 28-year-old with the son, so like I'm trying to spend time with my son, so it's like it's not really my scene anymore. If I go out, it's usually like it's usually it's very seldom. Like I don't do it often at all. And plus it's not like something I like to do anymore, as if I do go out, it's usually with friends, and usually by 11, 12 o'clock we're just like, hey, fuck, I'm tired, I want to go home. It's like we're all in the same spot.
Yeah, man. I feel you, man. I feel you on that. What's your top piece of advice that you'd give to up and coming all skill fighters? That all skill levels that fight at different skill level, all skill level from
Yeah,
amateur coming up. What's your top piece of advice to them?
man, the biggest thing is you got to treat yourself like a professional, and you got to treat it like you're fighting at the UFC level, no matter what. Like, you can't, just because you're an amateur doesn't mean you don't take it as serious if it was a pro fight, and just because you're fighting pro doesn't mean you don't take it as serious as a high level fight, like if you're fighting in Bellator, UFC, ONE FC, or wherever. So you have to treat it professionally every single step of the way. You gotta treat yourself like like you're at that level, because when you start treating yourself like you're at that level, you start going on about like training and everything in general like you're at that level. Like, a lot of these guys who are amateurs think training 2 times or 3 times a week is fucking is fine. It's fine, but it's not. And then there's a lot of these pro fighters that only want to be training when they have a fight coming up, not training whenever they're like out of camp or anything like that. And as a pro fighter, and if you have aspirations of doing this for a living, you have aspirations of going to the UFC, that's not where you're going to get better, and it's actually going to fuck you up long term, because every single time you get out of camp, you get fat, then you have to get your whole entire training camp is dedicated to you losing weight. So you're not getting better during that whole entire time. So you absolutely have to continue training, continue learning, because, man, you're not learning in a training camp. A lot of these guys have this false sense that you're going to learn during a training camp. No, you have to grind. You have to put in some work. You drill a couple of things that you think the opponent's going to do, and you might learn a thing or two there. But if you're not in shape and you're constantly overweight coming into the camp, it's going to be so hard for you to learn. So you have to treat yourself like a professional through and through. Like, for me, I always look at the guys who come back into camp. Like, there's one of my training partners is Cameron. He's been with me for about three years.
Right.
Uh, he he is like in the gym that next day or two, just to be back in the gym because he wants to learn. He takes what he saw in the fight, and he's like, I can use this. Like, this is where I lacked at. I need to improve on this position. And, dude, like, it's funny because like people that have been training for 10 years are having problems with them now. Like, I seen him beat up like a couple like good, really good high level guys. So it's like, yeah, I see that, and I'm just like, well, that's just because he's dedicated and he's treating himself like a professional and wants to be at this high level. So he's dedicated, coming in, learning every single day he comes in. So that's the type of people I look for, and those are the people I really respect. Because if you're just a camp fighter, that's all you're ever going to be. You're never going to get to that top level. You might luckily get into there, but if you don't, like, if you don't, all you have to do is blame yourself, because you're not the guy that was going to go out there and fucking keep keep training, keep learning, keep pushing yourself past past your limits. Because man, a lot of these guys are just super comfortable being
Oh,
comfortable, and that's not the way to be.
yeah. Yeah, that's top tip advice for you guys out there. You know what I mean? That's learning to get into the game. You can't get better advice from somebody that's in it himself, Mr. Adrian Yanez, right here. You've made reference to how much of a fan of the sport you are, right? And you're also in my eyes, a complete martial artist. Fighting in a division as deep as your division, what excites you the most about it? What keeps you on your toes about that division right there?
Man, honestly, it's a room full of killers, man. It's a room full of killers, man, and I want to murder all of them. That's the thing that keeps me up. That's the thing that keeps me up, man. Because like fuck, I was like, I know if I have an off night, I'm waking up in the hospital, and or like, I have an off night and I'm waking up to the referee saying you got rear naked choke. So like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but that's also the thing that excites me. That excites me. It's like there's that little bit of like, whenever you're going bungee jumping, you get that little bit of fear right before you go out there and do it, and then you get out, you're just like, fuck yeah, like that's what excites me right now. And just seeing all the guys that are in front of me too is like it's so fucking cool. So it's like just seeing like the all the killers in front of me. That shit like drives me. I was like, I got to make sure that it also pushes me during training because I'm like, oh, there's this guy who's good at this, there's this guy who's good at that. So it makes me focus on everything, not just one thing specifically. So I'm continuing to learn, continuing to grow. And that's like the biggest thing whenever I'm looking at this division because, man, these guys, all these guys are killers, bro. So it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, kill of the kill kind of division, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the killers, you want to murder all of them. And for us consumers, for us fight fans, uh, we love to see it. That's what we're here for, you know.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what we got.
absolutely.
Um, you've been in the game for a long time. What's the what's the one thing that's been a constant for you, from then, even before the Contender Series, till your very last fight? The one constant,
The one
whether
constant, the
yeah, whether it's
one
a
constant,
ritual, something.
man, man, it's kind of it's easiest just to say it's easiest just to say that you have to do it for yourself and nobody else. That's the biggest thing because when you start doing it for somebody else, you don't have the same passion, you don't have the same drive. And every single time I fought, whenever I felt like I was doing it for somebody else, bar none, my first professional loss, that one, you know, I was that was for me. But every other close fight, every other fight that I lost, it was mostly because I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for somebody else.
Right.
Even in that Davy Grant fight, man, like I didn't fight like myself. I wasn't myself. I felt like I had to do it and I wasn't doing it for myself. Like I felt like I had to prove something to other people, and that's not me. Like whenever I'm focused on myself and me fighting for myself, there's a different type of fire that goes on and I'm just like it makes it easier for me to go whenever I feel like I'm doing it for somebody else. I don't give the same effort, I don't give the same thing. So it's like I know if I'm doing it for myself, everything else falls into place. And
Right.
that's the biggest thing. That's also another thing that I would probably give advice for other fighters. Make sure you're doing this for you and nobody else, because there's a lot of fighters that get pushed by their dads or get pushed by their family to go fight. Fuck all them, if when it comes to fighting, because of course they're going to go support you, they're going to be a part of the journey and everything. But if you don't want to fight, don't fight. If somebody else is pushing you to fight and you're just going along with it, I would suggest you don't fight, because the minute you're doing it for somebody else means that you're not going to put the effort that you need to put into this. So that'd be another thing, man. Because if you're not fully into it, you're not fully involved, or you fully don't want to do it, you're gonna get hurt.
Another tip there for you, like Adrian just said. He's throwing another one in there for you guys. Um, I want to ask you. I mean, you've been through some pretty tough times, going into fights. Tragedy, that sort of stuff. You lost your coach. um, Coach Solly, and for me, when fighters have to go into the octagon, having to deal with that sort of situation, how do you keep focus? Because it's not to say that you're forgetting about them, but at the same time you got to compartmentalize. How do you deal with that?
Man, that's you just said it. You got to compartmentalize, man. At least for me, like it was like fuck, dude. Like it was hard, man. It was really really hard, and that shit was like kind of like digging like in my soul, man. Even to like point whenever I come to the corner, of course I had my training partner Cameron there who was with me like day in day out, making sure that everything was going good for that camp, and like and I was pretty much just coaching myself like through that whole camp. So it was like it's kind of like fuck, like that shit sucked, but it was hard, man. It was really really hard, man. Especially even that Randy Costa fight. Like I didn't have my coach there either. He was sick. He got caught with COVID around that time. So like, yeah, that was hard itself. So I wasn't even in my right mind there because like shit, I don't have my head coach there. Like fuck. So, uh, but yeah, no, it was really really hard to compartmentalize, and like the way, like that's why I also had to take a couple months off right after that because I was like, nah, I need my time off. I need my time with my son. I just need to make sure that I catch a break because I can feel myself going towards that path of me just fighting just to fighting just to fight because I'm like fighting for my coach, fighting for my dad, fighting for everything else. And I was like, I didn't want to fall down that path because I've been down that path before, and it just, you know, didn't want to do it. I went through like spats of alcoholism and all that stuff, and just like after like there was a my second professional loss during that camp. I was like drinking every weekend, like man, I was drinking all the time. Even like a week before the fight, I was still drinking. It's surprising I still made weight and everything. So, yeah, no, shit was like kind of all over the place for me. So, like, yeah, uh, I had to make sure I put myself in a good position, a good mental headspace, and I really was, man. I really was for this fight. Uh, and like after once I dealt with everything, and I was like was spending time with my son and everything, like I was happy. Uh, then everything started kind of falling into place because, man, at UFC Houston, I ran into Eve Edwards, and Eve Edwards was coached by one of my coaches.
Mhm.
Was coached by Coach Saul. He was coached by Coach Saul, so it was like, and he was telling me he's moving back to Houston, and I was like, okay, cool. And then one of my training partners, his coach, his head Muay Thai coach, was also had also trained with my coach Saul, and pretty much my coach has never had a bad thing to say about him. So, luckily for this camp, I was able to work with both the Muay Thai coach, Coach Corley, and Eve Edwards. So it was also a part of me being able to deal with that, like being like, well, I got two guys who my coach really respected in my corner, so that helped me out so much more. Like, and I also was like, I felt like he never left, with them two being there. So it was really cool. It was really, really cool having them a part of my camp, and then having Corley in my corner. So that made it so much more easier for me. And then it made, like, again, a lot more happier than being able to cope with everything, being able to talk about him to them was pretty cool too, so it made everything a lot easier.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Um, Everybody can admit that you got some of the best boxing skills in MMA. Period. I put you right up there, and I know you got some favorites yourself, but I put it right up there. I put you right up there. I've seen your handwork, and it's a work of art. I just love watching it. Um, Speaking of skill sets, yeah, a lot of people didn't know that you helped Aljo prepare for that fight there with Yan, the second fight. How is there any chance you could get up there with, well, at some point, with someone like, say, someone like Petr Yan, which also has a very very good boxing skills. How will you put yourself and his skill set together in that sort of situation if you ever came together?
Yeah, no, man. I feel like I beat Peter Yan, man. And I feel like every fighter should. I feel like every fighter should say that. But I really do feel that, like, especially like looking at his style, looking at my style. Uh, I can do a couple styles, and I feel like Peter Yan only really kind of does the high guard. He does a takedown every once in a while, but man, like I seen that high guard way too many times. I sparred with boxers, I sparred with Muay Thai guys, and a lot of these guys, man, like I'm able to outwork them with the high guard, and and look, like a lot of people can say and look at like being like, man, who this kid hasn't proven himself to anything, but like bro, like even someone like Tony Kelly is as minuscule as like his high guard was. Look at the way how I worked around that. I could be a lot more technical in that point at that point, but I felt like Tony Kelly had nothing to offer me. So that's how I was able to like treat him like he had nothing to offer me. So uh I like, and you can see how I like manipulated his high guard and got around his high guard and was able to find my open shots. And even look at whenever Randy Costa was up against the fence, whenever he had the high guard too, I found ways around it. I was like, I know I can find ways around Peter Yan Tygard. And he's not just a good boxer; he throws a lot of kicks, but he's primarily a boxer. And I felt like I gave Aljo a lot of good insight and a lot of good looks for someone like Peter Yan, because I can do the high guard. I just choose not to. I choose to have my guard kind of flow a little bit and try to acclimate to who I'm going to fight. I'll have my lead hand a little bit low depending on what you're doing. I have a higher guard depending on what you're doing, or I have a little bit more of a looser style depending on what you're doing. So it just usually kind of just depends. I'll go with the Philly, I go with the textbook. I'll do a lot of different things, man. It just depends on what the other person's doing. I can manipulate that shit pretty easily.
Hmm. Uh, I mean, training with Aljamain Sterling to take the belt. How did he feel watching Aljo take the belt after training together, after helping him? Prepare for that fight. How did he feel?
Oh man, you could probably catch my reaction live because I was doing a watch along with Jens Pulver that day, and I think I was
Right.
with Dan Hooker. I think it was like, yeah, but I was super excited, man. I was so happy because I was telling people, a lot of people were telling me that he was gonna get smashed, he was gonna get knocked out, and all that stuff, and I was like, nah, man. I was like, I'm telling you, I saw something different from Aljo. I was like, he got this one. I think he's gonna do it in that first round. I was a little bit shaky. It was a close round, but I felt like he got it. Second and third, utter domination. Like he had his back. I was actually really surprised that he didn't choke him out, because Aljo has some of the best back control in the world, and
I
he,
had the
he
tennis
usually
round
finishes a
in there.
lot.
I
Yeah,
had the
so I'm.
tennis round in there in that fight
Mhm.
when he took his back. So yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of people say maybe a pathway to beating you is going wrestling heavy on you. Um, can you tell us about your grappling background? The background you got in grappling, and
Yeah.
how it helped you sharpen your tools with Aljo when you was helping him train as well.
Man, I'll say it like this: like those guys at Sarah BJJ are some of the best in the world. Those guys are fucking absolute killers, and that right there is gonna help me out a lot. I'm already I've been doing, like, my first martial art was jujitsu. It wasn't striking, like how some people think. People think I started striking first. No, my first martial art was actually jujitsu. So it's it's there, but I like knocking people out, and that's like my favorite thing to do, because growing up watching boxing, it's super easy for me to it's super fucking easy for me just to like it, just to knock someone, like, love knocking somebody out. So it's super easy. But jujitsu is, I can always fall back on it. um the part that would give me, I guess, the most trouble, people would take a look at my Miles Johns fight and just see that he hemmed me up against the fence. And even someone like Miles Johns, man, couldn't hold me down. Like,
Mm.
Miles Johns couldn't hold me down. Like, and I do a really good job of, as soon as my butt touches the floor, I'm trying to get back up anyways. Again, I could fall back and use my jujitsu, but I just love knocking people out. That's my favorite thing to do. And even working with Aljo, working with all those guys at Sarah BJJ, like, like it's fucking fun. I can't wait to go back, honestly.
Bro, let me ask you this: how has being a father changed the way you approach fights? Because it can't be the same. The two mindset can't be the same. How is it shifted?
Man, the only thing that's probably changed on my end is that the how can I say it? The only thing that's really kind of changed on my end is that the fact that like there's something else like I'm like fighting for. Like it makes it like I'm not fighting for him, but it's an extra boost to be like, yeah, no, like I want to make sure it makes me take a smarter business decision. It's gonna make me be like, well, like maybe I don't want to take this fight, or maybe I should take this fight, or anything like that. Because there's a like on this second contract that I'm in, like of course, like man, I can go up there and like fast track myself and try to uh fight someone in the top 10 immediately. Even though like a lot of these like fight fans and MMA Twitter be like, no, let him fight this guy, let him fight that guy. Everybody always wants to push you to the top immediately and be like, oh yeah, no, you should fucking fight those guys. But no, man, it's not like you shouldn't listen, because if you listen to fight fans all the time, you would have a short career. Everybody wants to make sure like they're like, oh no, if they want to be like, no, I want to see if he can handle a wrestler. I want to see if he can handle this guy. I want to see if he can handle a striker. I want to see if this jujitsu guy who has no wrestling can beat this guy who has great takedown defense and can strike like no other. They always try to do that. They're always trying to see what goes on, like what matchups are the worst. Like they're like trying to pick the worst favorable matchup for all these guys. And it's cool. It's cool like if you're a fight fan. But for a lot of these like fighters who are trying to make a living, trying to make sure that they have something after fighting, they're trying to make the right business decisions. And for me right now, I don't want to fight anybody in the top 10 immediately. I got like two more fights until I get into my third contract. So I want to make sure I take the right approach, because I'm in the position where I can, like, my next fight, I could probably negotiate myself out of my second contract into a third contract where I can be like, oh, now I can get those guys in the top 10. Like, it's so like, because I'm making the better money right now, and it'd be easier for me, now, like, if I, like, let's just say I go up there, take a top 10 fight, those, and I'm not making that money, it hurts a lot more. It dials me back a lot more. I probably won't get paid. I'm not going to get paid as much. Half my money's gone. So you got to take a little bit of a smarter fight, a little bit of a smarter fight. So like that's probably the biggest thing, because I want to make sure that like when I fight, I knock somebody out, or I want to make sure like it's a good fight that I know I'm going to get paid for. Like that's a big reason I want that Sean fight or want a Frankie fight, because I know those fights are gonna get me paid. I know those fights are gonna get me paid. Like I can, like me knocking out Sean is gonna like boost my stock and make sure it gets me paid on everything. It's gonna skyrocket me to another into more eyes and all that stuff. Beating Frankie, like his contract is way bigger than mine. So I go out there, I knock out Frankie, I'd be like, well, this is what he was making. I just knocked that guy out. What, like, I feel like I deserve, if like that, or just a bit less, it's like, because he's a former lightweight champion and all that stuff, so it'd be also a good name on my record. So you have to be smart about a couple of these things. And like, especially with the little one, I want to make sure that I have something set up for him. I'm able to get a college fund started and be able to do all these things for him. So yeah, like, I have to be smart. And shit, that's the biggest thing. It's maybe more like business oriented when it comes to these fights. I gotta be like, what's gonna raise my stock a little bit more. But for fight fans, they hear that and they're like, oh man, what the fuck. So it's kind of that hard thing, because a part of me is always like, I look at someone's like, fight that guy, I'm like, man, fuck yeah, I'll fucking fight that guy. Like, I can still get that, like, nah, like, I'm a fighter, I'm gonna fight whoever you put in front of me. But also you have to be able to dial it back a little bit and be like, oh well, I gotta make sure that I'm getting paid for this.
Fantastic. Um, do you have a podcast coming to keep the revenue stream up? Do you have something in mind? Is there something that that you're looking to do?
Yeah, man, I'm doing Twitch streaming, doing the gaming stuff, and man, I've actually been talking to a couple people trying to see what I can do. I like my Twitch. The Twitch thing has been like something that like I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I just finally just started doing it this year, but I got a good little community that comes out, you know, and it's slowly getting bigger, and I've been loving it. So, yeah, man, I mean, I'm super excited how everything's gonna plan out. So, and even well, even just then, like I was talking to the Twitch streamers because I did on International Fight Week. I got to work with the Baka Bros,
Mhm.
and I was talking to their manager, and I was like, bro, like I started asking them questions, and some of those questions got answered, and I'm like, bro, man, let me try to set myself up for after fighting with using this stuff because, man, it's a great revenue stream. I feel like a lot of these fighters can benefit, especially if they have a personality and all that stuff. You know, I can't wait till like my office is like set up so I can take this damn curtain down because it's all messed back there, so I can like show everybody. But yeah, no, like I'm excited, and hopefully I get a good, nice little setup where I can like actually like have a better time doing this shit. So, and make it a worthwhile, make it worthwhile while everybody else is watching on the stream.
Fantastic. I mean, you're gonna get there. It takes a little building, but once you're there, you're there. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Um, how has stepping up with your coaching duties, you know, because of the passing of Coach Saul, affected your career as a fighter? How has that affected you?
Man, it's definitely affected me in a lot of different ways. Like man, like I already don't get a lot of time with my son, man. Like in the mornings I drop him off, and then his mom picks him up at night, so I don't really get too much time, you know, because I only have that morning with them, and then Saturday, Sunday, because I have the obligation to be there at a certain time at the gym. You know, I drop him off at daycare in the morning. I don't see him until at night, but he's usually always sleeping. So that's the part that kind of fucks me up a lot of times. And I only get to see him, like wake up to him on the weekends and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool, uh, and get to be with them throughout the weekends. But like me coaching these guys, you know, sometimes like it's kind of like fuck, like I had to kind of think about everybody else instead of just thinking about myself. So that's hard itself. And then on top of that, like just like the dad stuff, I was like a lot of these like Fury, they have their fights on Sunday, so I gotta go out there. I gotta train the guys Monday through Friday. I get a day on Saturday, and then if they're fighting, they fight on Sunday. I only get like literally, and they start early, so I gotta be there at 12. And depending on how the card looks, I might be there from 12 all the way to 7:30, and I get back and my son's gonna be asleep. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like it, like so. Yeah, no, I get. So it has changed my life, and I used to find myself getting super pissed off when people wouldn't show up for other training partners and be like, man, what, like, but now I'm just like, it's a part of the game. I know who I'm gonna give my attention to. Like I've now started to look at these guys and be like, this is the guy who I'm gonna help, this is the guy who I'm not gonna help, as much as of right now, because this guy only shows up whenever he wants to and only wants to work when he wants to. But this guy shows up for everybody every single time, and I'm gonna make sure he gets a good amount of help. And if this person asked me, hey, like you help me, I was like, well, you gotta show up for this guy. Show up. You have to prove. You have to prove yourself. Like, cause I'm like, bro, like I'm running the fighters class. I was like, and I like my time's being taken up a lot of the times. I'm like, bro, like my time is very valuable to me, and I want to make sure that y'all know this because, man, it's like this guy over here has valued my time so much where he's shown up for other people, he's shown up for me day in, day out. I've never had to ask him for help. He's always been there, and he's always helped all of his training partners. This guy over here is super selfish, gets out of weight, and also one of those guys that only shows up for his camp and only shows up whenever he wants to. So, you know, who am I going to choose to help out a little bit more? It's going to be that guy that continues to be a good training partner, not only to me, but to everybody in the gym. Because this guy will even help out this guy who's not really fucking showing up at all. And this guy is like just a genuine good person. And I have a lot more of these than I have of these, but it's just, you know, I'm just like, who am I going to spend my time with more? So of course, the good training partner, you know? So yeah, it has been fucking hard too, man. Because shit, it's kind of all over the place, man. It does get all over the place. I used to get a lot more emotional about it, but now I'm like, no. Now that I know what I want, I'm like, all right, cool. Like it's so much easier.
100%. And you mentioning about your time, we value your time so much, and thank you so much for being here with us. And obviously down the line, we're going to promote any of your endeavors as we always do. I mean, we're always right there behind you. You talked about how you're a fan first, watching MMA with your father, and falling in love with it. It's clearly taught you how to interact uh, with your fan base, you know. And what are some of the challenges and benefits of that interaction that
Man,
that you have as you're rising up as well?
man, no, it's been amazing. It's absolutely been amazing. Like in all those moments that were memories for me, and like it's like again, man, it just goes back to memories, man. Like I have good fond memories of all those times, and going to like a Hooters and watching the fights. My dad's favorite place, Hooters. And going out there, getting the fried pickles, fried jalapenos, and all that stuff, and just like having a great time, just sitting there eating, watching fights. So that I think that's really pretty cool. Um, but yeah, like it kind of falls back into like me being a father too, because like now I'm trying to make as many memories as I can, taking all the pictures that I can with my son, doing all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. It rubs off of me in a good way in that sense, and also in fighting, because I'm like, man, it's always rubbed off of me in fighting, because it's like every single time a knockout happened, we would always be fucking cheering. So that's the same concept here. Like I'd like every time I get a knockout, get a finish, I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, man. Um, you've done a few giveaways, signed bloody gloves, and giving this interview. This is part of your giveaway to us. And Andy ran the competition, and I was one of the lucky guys that ended up being there in front of you. And thank you so much, for doing that. Your giveaways are absolutely fantastic. I wanted to ask you, with your merch, when do we get distribution in the UK? Because we need that
Man.
shit over here, man.
Man, it's kind of hard because I don't know about like uh I'm still learning about like the mailing the delivery, like the delivery services and all that stuff. I'm still kind of trying to see what would be the best way to go about that, because I go like most of my stuff is done through the USPS, so it's like kind of hard. Like I don't know, like I know nothing about that. Like I just like, all right, cool. Well, I choose this and I do that, and like now I'm like, okay, well you can do that, you can ship it out. But I gotta see, man. Definitely gotta see, because I know it like I we shipped to Canada, and I felt so bad because they paid the product for the shirt, but they ended up paying like way more for the shipping. And I looked, I'm like, wait, so they paid $50+ for them to ship just to Canada? I'm like, I felt so bad. I'm like, fuck, that's terrible. Like I don't like that at all. So man, I had to find some way that it'd be easier and like less like because I don't like, man, if I ship to somebody to over there in the UK, to Australia, to wherever, I want to make sure like y'all aren't paying like fucking like $50, $60 just to get over there for a shirt, man. So yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. But also, hopefully, because I'm about to start working with Bruce Buffer's company, millions.co, and they're gonna handle all the shipping and distribution for me. So hopefully, I'm gonna talk to them and see what can we do about like my international guys, because man, again, I like again, like I felt bad. Like you asking me, it's like, what are we gonna do? It's like I feel bad like about y'all not being able to get anything. So I feel bad about that. So hopefully I can work
Yeah,
something out with them.
I'm gonna get Andy to you to get my merch off for you, and Andy will get that to me, man. If that's all right with you, if that
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
yeah, man, that'll be dope, man. Thank you very much for that. We know you got, your heart is not only on display in the octagon. Your heart is not only on display in the octagon, but the way you reach us to us fans and like to give back to us, that's something that's close to your heart, right? Is that something that's important to you?
Yeah, no, man. I've like it's one of those things, man. I had my spots at the UFC Expo. Like I went on Saturday, like the UCX at International Fight Week. I was there, and I have a video, like, and I just showed the fans, and they fucking all just went fucking crazy and nuts and all that stuff. I thought that was super fucking cool. So like I just remember being one of those fans walking at the expo and being so like, holy shit, this is so fucking cool. Seeing those guys and seeing like all the fighters that at that time, and I remember being in awe. So, and yeah, like I remember those times so much that now I'm that person. Now I'm that person that these other guys are looking up to. They want to be like and all that stuff. So I'm like, no, like I got to do something because I remember being that kid. I remember being that person going to the expos and all that stuff. So no, like I got to make sure that a lot of these people like are getting something, you know, because fuck. It was like if it wasn't again, if it wasn't for the fans, if it wasn't for the people following you, man, I, again, like I probably wouldn't have got, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now, you know. So it is like to me, it is what it is. I got to do my part.
Fantastic, man, fantastic. Um, you've been a fan for the longest. Like you've made plenty of references to it, and it's something that's so close to us because even though we watch it on the telly, we're so far away. We live here in the UK, and we try and make connection with the fighters that we watch live. What would you say behind the scenes? Because before you actually won the UFC contract, what do you say? What would you say surprised you the most that obviously us fans don't get to see, but now you've gone from being a fan to a fighter on a contract that you got to see that shocked you the most? That eye opener, like
Uh, can you repeat that just like again, real quick?
right. Um, as a fan, being a fan, and then being a fighter, right? Once you
Oh,
won your UFC contract, what are the things that obviously you don't get to see as a fan, but as a fighter on a UFC contract, it's an eye opener for you?
man, honestly, you start seeing a lot of these things how they work out and how they go on behind the scenes. Like it's pretty cool. Like seeing how a lot of these fights get made, and it's pretty cool seeing like who's cool, who isn't cool, and all that stuff. Like as in like and cool in a sense like where the UFC staff. Like honestly, you know what? The biggest thing is the UFC staff. The UFC staff is by far some of the nicest people in the world. I love all those guys, and man, to me, like it's like man, like yeah, they're amazing, and they every single time I've gone with them, like they made it super easy for me, and I love them for that, and like man, every single time, like they're just so fucking cool. Like have genuine love for a lot of these guys. Uh, Seeing who runs the social media accounts and start seeing like the guy who runs UFC Espanol, Juan Cardenas. Like he is a phenomenal person.
Mm.
After that Randy fight, that Randy Costa fight, he's the one that gave me that Dr. Pepper refrigerator. He's
Oh
like he
shit!
gave it to me. Miss Heidi, like she doesn't get enough Miss Heidi does not get enough praise whatsoever. She pretty much is like you'll see her at the fights running back and forth. She's doing a lot of things, making sure everything's running accordingly. Even during fight week, she's doing so much other stuff. She's like kind of coordinating people to do other stuff, and then like you'll see her like I thought I sent this person to do this, and she'll go do it herself, and all like it's so crazy. And then like you know just like the everyday operations people during fight week, they're so amazing. The UFC staff, like how like and just how much control the UFC has like during fight week, making sure that their fighters are comfortable, making sure that they're firing off on all cylinders, and making sure that they're gonna make weight. Like there's a whole process. So to me, it's super badass.
Okay, as we start to wrap up the show, I just wanted to ask you: as your fights get bigger, what can we expect? What should we expect from Adrian Yanez going forward? What can we expect from you?
Man, what you can expect from me is pure knockouts, man. I want to knock everybody out. I don't want to submit anybody. It'd be cool to get a submission in the UFC, but I want to knock everybody out. Doesn't matter who you are, what your name is. I'm gonna knock all you out. Sean, Frankie, man, fucking Rob Font. I don't care, dude. Anybody, man, bro. Petr Yan can be one of those guys too, man.
Anybody
So,
and everybody can get it, right?
yeah, anybody, everybody at any time.
Thank you very much for your time. Look, you've been a fantastic sport. Thank you for your time.